Making my way up to the Pick and Shovel and Bluster mines here in Jarbidge, Nevada. It's a beautiful fall morning. It's pretty chilly, and I'll give you kind of a view of what we're looking at here. It's a little bit of a slog to get up to these two mines. This is my second time here. The first time was just a recon. I was on a timetable, so I didn't have a lot of time to take pictures or explore. Hopefully today I'll have some more time. I want to get everything done before the sun sets, but it's an absolute beautiful day, so I look forward to showing you what still exists of these great mines. In front of me is Jarbidge Peak, and it's an 11,000 foot peak. Not going to make it up there today. However, my wife always says that the cows get the best views because they're allowed to roam pretty much everywhere here in the West. I have to say that the miners probably got some of the best views as well. That aspen stand is absolutely gorgeous. And this whole ridge line is just spectacular. I'm going to give you a quick idea of where I am right now. So I just passed the Pick and Shovel mine, which is down around this corner. I'm about at 7,800 feet or so right here, and I'm going to make my way up to the Bluster mine, which is up in here, a couple hundred feet up. But it gives you a pretty good idea just how steep the slopes are these guys were working on. It's around a 30% grade up here. But it's beautiful. All right, so I've made it up above the Pick and Shovel mine, and I'm approaching the Bluster mine. I want to show you something though. If you look this way, we've got an ore loading chute. We're at about 7,870 feet here. So right up here, you can see that big rock right there. According to the USGS pamphlet I have, that's actually the apex or the outcropping of the vein that they were working here, both the Pick and Shovel and the Bluster mine. So here's a little better look at it. So I'm right below the outcropping for that main vein that they were working here, and I'm going to show you some other cool stuff. So if we look this way, right there, that's part of the aerial tramway from the Bluster mine down to the Bluster mill below. And then here's that outcropping, and then right here there's a big cut. It could have been a portal at one point. Doesn't look like it. The road goes up this way and around up here, but it's pretty thick with that kind of heather creosote stuff, so I'm actually going to go around back the other way and see if I can get up there. But here's the view they had. So I found a mine shaft. I wasn't looking for it. I was actually on my way up. Couldn't see it was coming up the road here, and I just saw the timbers sticking out of the rock and came to investigate. If you look inside, I can see that it's got a gate on it, so there's not going to be able to go in very far. But we can see the timbers they used to shore up the portal, as well as the cross braces here, which are steel. Let me see if I can sneak in just a little bit. A lot of moss. And you can see there's a sign, abandoned mine hazards. deep pools of water, all that fun stuff that we got to look for with mines. It's a beautiful shaft though, and it looks like it goes straight back into solid rock there. So how cool is that? I hadn't planned on finding one, and I did. I'm gonna keep going up the mountain now and see what else I can find. So about 100 feet from that last shaft that I just showed you, I found another one. You can see it's got the signs, the fence on it. This one goes at a pretty good incline down there. And it looks like it either levels out or it's caved. About 20 or so feet down. So it's another beautiful, beautiful shaft. I don't know anything about this, but I'll see if I can find anything out. And you can see the signs put up by the state of Nevada. Here I am outside of the Bluster, what I believe is the Bluster mine in Jarbidge, Nevada. You can see the portal for it right behind me. The Bluster mine was discovered in 1910 by George Winkler. It was also known as the Winkler mine. When it was visited by the USGS, not a lot of work had been done. Although over the years it looks like more work has been accomplished, and it became a decent sized operation. What makes the Bluster unique is the aerial tramway that they used to get the ore from the mine down the mountainside to the mill, which is about 6,500 feet. We're at just about 8,100 feet right here. So it's your stereotypical mine shaft, and it's absolutely beautifully preserved. I'm going to show you some features of it real fast. So we've got the ore cart tracks here that lead into the portal itself. Just beautiful, beautiful portal. And then right in here, and it is collapsed. Now, something that's interesting is if we look down here, you can see there's PVC pipe. So I would assume that this was reworked at some point in the mid to even late 20th century. We can follow the ore cart tracks right through here. And they'll take us down to the dump and to the area where they most likely loaded the ore into the carts, take it on the aerial tramway. Now if we look down here, there's a big wheel like for the steel cables, and it even looks like they had it looks like an engine like to power the aerial tramway. It looks like there's a big wheel there for one of those big old rubber belts, and there's some debris left there. Maybe it was housed inside a building at one point. Up here we have, it looks like a boiler of some kind. I've seen similar boilers in Idaho, and I haven't been able to find out a lot of information about them. We'll walk back this way to the portal. Now I'm going to make my way down the mountain and go back to the mill. I'm going to shoot some videos down there and hopefully give you a little bit more information about the mine itself. So I've made my way back down the mountain. I was back up over there at the Bluster mine to what I believe is the site of the old pick and shovel mine. I know this, or I've made this guess based on a picture that I have that was taken by the USGS when they visited Jarbidge in the early 20th century. It was actually taken across the mountain over there. And on the picture, it has the Bluster mine with their aerial tramway, and it has a little spot right about this part of the hill that has the words pick and shovel mine and an arrow drawn to it. Now the dump here looks similar to the dump in that picture, as well as its location relative to the Bluster mine. So I've made the assumption that this was the site of the pick and shovel mine. The pick and shovel mine was discovered in 1909 by John Escalon. So the story goes that he was out here prospecting. He is from Elko, Nevada, so not that far away. He was out here prospecting, and he made his way into basically the tent city that was Jarbidge at the time. And upon hearing about all the people staking claims around these different gulches, he dropped what he was doing, didn't take care of any of the business he needed to take care of, and ran back here 2.5 miles and about 1,000-foot elevation gain to stake this property. He built a mill on the site, and there's a picture of it, but I haven't been able to find the mill in the mountains here. And he also had a cabin back up over there, which he lived in year-round. At the time that the USGS visited him, he was the only one working it. He had done minimal development, and he had plans to install a hoist and a boiler to help get some of the ore out. I don't have any production numbers, and I don't really know what happened to him or what happened to the mine after he stopped working it. Looking at it now, it looks like it was probably reworked in the mid-20th century, just like we found evidence of at the Bluster mine with the PVC pipes. This cut here just looks way too big to be made by one individual. So while I don't know if it was worked again later in the 20th century, it seems probable that that was the case. The pick and shovel mine, though, is a really special mine to me just because of the gentleman, John Escalon. What he went through, living out here by himself, working the property by himself, running back here after he heard about all the booms going on in the other gulches. It's just an endearing story, and it's one of the Frontier West mining stories that I really like to share. All right, here I am looking out towards the mountains on the other side of the pick and shovel mine. We're looking west right now. The picture that I was referencing was taken over somewhere over here. It shows the Bluster mill down here, and it shows a big waste pile that looks a lot like this, similar in color and location, that's labeled pick and shovel mine. If we look back up over here, we can see that there's the outcropping for what I believe is the Bluster vein. There's the Bluster mine there, and there's some other workings up here, and then here is what looks like the pick and shovel. These workings up here look nothing like the marked location or the marked waste dump and shaft in that picture. The only thing that matches its location and color is this area right here, especially the color of this waste dump. So for right now, I'm going to assume that this is the pick and shovel mine. If I learn of its exact location and it's different, I will shoot another video to update it. But John Escalon sure had one hell of a view. So this is some of the steel cable left over from the aerial tramway. You can see it's decent thickness. I don't know if that helps, but that's what they would have used to carry the buckets full of ore down to the mill. So these are some of the remains of one of the footings for the aerial tramway, it looks like. We'll get up here, see if we can read the writing on these fittings. It says Mal 5810, patented May 10, 04 and October 29th, 07. So I made my way down the hill, and I'm now at the Bluster mill. I'll give you a little bit of an overview of the main mill building, and then the footings and the other parts of the building while I'm up here. So if we look right here, at one point there's probably some ore cart tracks laid across that kind of looks like a giant pallet, but basically a walkway that they would take and then dump the ore down in here. When we get down in there, you'll be able to see the ore chutes. So the ore would come down the hillside over here, and then all the way back up on the mountain back there where it started. It would come down, and then it would be fed in to the mill right here. So this was the initial loading area for all the ore that would come in. It would then be sorted, and it would start its process through the mill itself, which is multi-leveled, allowing it to use gravity to help move the heavy ore. And Then down at the road, there's actually a loading area where they could back their carts up, or later probably trucks, and load the ore in them and then ship it out back to, I think they did it in Twin or Salt Lake City, I'm not sure. But I'll make my way down there so you can get a better idea. So here I am a little bit closer to the structure itself. You can see, there it is. Look at these massive pieces of steel they use to tie the building together and keep it anchored into the hillside. I'm gonna make my way down here. It's taken me a lot longer than I had planned on. There's been a massive amount of beer cans down here. I don't know what it is about these old sites and alcohol that seem to go hand in hand, but all right. So here we are in the main mill building itself. Obviously, I'm not gonna climb in there. However, you can get a good idea the level of construction involved. You can see this is the backside of those ramps where they would dump the ore down, and then it would go in to the mill and start being processed there. Behind me here is a clay marker. It looks like a right corner. That's pretty cool. Don't know when that's from, but it's one of the only ones I've ever found. So it gives you an idea of the initial building they used to feed the ore in to the mill. You see those footings down there. That would be the initial processing equipment, probably crushers of some kind. Let's make our way down. So this is the other side of that mill building for the Bluster mill. And again, it's definitely on its last legs. One or two more big winters and it's probably going to go down. However, we still get a pretty good idea of what the building looked like. So this is the main ore loading area. And I am not going to walk back there because it's pretty dangerous on that rubble. You can see those huge supports there for the building, and then they would have fed the ore in here and it would have come around and started its process this way. Now I found something interesting. I don't really know what it is, but on the ground there are hundreds of these, and they're metal. They're pieces of metal, and I'm not quite sure what they're left over. I don't know if it's the waste metals that they separated from the gold ore or what. It's like one big puzzle here, trying to figure out what each part was for. This is interesting. I don't know if something was sat in here or maybe they slid something down in here, but there was something mounted on it. And then if you come over here, you can see all of these pieces on the ground here. Are pieces of metal. I thought they were elk poop, but they're not. They're pieces of metal. We come over here. And we can see a whole nother floor of the mill down there. So just a real quick reference, I am here on this level with the mill. If we look up this way, all the way up to right in there, you can see that's the outcropping of the Bluster vein. And then the waste dump for the Bluster mine is off to the left. That's how far down they sent the ore. I'm down below the initial ore loading area. I'll show you that wall. It's quite a wall. You see it's got footings to brace it up. And then there's a bunch of these concrete footings throughout. I don't really know what they do or what they were for. So this is in the in-between area between the big wall there and building and stuff down here. And you can see that they stacked local rock, and then they also built a concrete wall right there. I don't know what happened in this trench here, if anything. So this is the second concrete wall. You can see footings here. Something interesting about these walls is that if you look closely, you can actually see some of the wood grain from the supports they made when they were pouring the concrete in it. Here you can see the remnants of a knot, some of the grain here. So there's a bunch of sand here, and it's probably, this is the tailings that are left over from the milling operation. If we look over here, got this interesting building here. You can also see there are plastic pipes right there. So this was expanded upon, or at least retooled, from when it was first built in the early 20th century. If we look in here, really interesting building here. I don't know if this is where they would start sending the concentrates down or what. And there's this box or pallet or whatever that is sitting up there. It didn't end up there by accident. It was actually built, set up there, and then hammered into place. So I don't know what purpose that served, but such a fascinating building. You can see more that piping. There's also hoses, and there's some metal over here. Don't know what that was for. It might have been for a concentrate container or a place where they roasted the ore. I don't know. But this is what's left. Thank you for coming with me today on this trip outside of Jarbidge. This is my first time really taking an in-depth look at the mines here, and I'm going to be out here many more times doing documentation work and hoping to tell some stories as well.